You are watching Africa on Arts TV. According to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Africa may lose its GDP from 3.2% to 2% due to the coronavirus outbreak. Here in the studio, Mr. Yarid Hailamisked, a business consultant, have joined us to explain how the economy is affected by the corona outbreak. Thank you for your time, Mr. Yarid.
Thank you very much.
So let's start from the general concept. How is the African economy is built? How is it structured?
Yeah, I mean, the coronavirus is going to impact significantly the global economy and then African. But the impact will be different for different countries, particularly, countries dependent on resource, like the fuel prices, petroleum price has dropped by like 68% in the last couple of days. And industries, dependent on for example, tourism, like Egypt, is going to be very much affected, by these things. And then we are in Ethiopia, for example, we have a big, African Airlines, Ethiopian Airlines, that's already been, affected by this kind of thing. So it depends, but overall, I mean, you can see the world at about $40 trillion worth of stock has been lost, globally. About 68% of the oil price. I mean, for some countries like in Ethiopia, maybe that's not a bad thing, and it's breaking a lot of records. Particularly the stock market. Dropping and triggering automatic shutdown of the stock market. 15%, 12%, and that's a big thing. And in terms of sector, it's quite a lot of sectors. Particularly the service sector is going to be affected. And when it comes to Ethiopia, I mean, the service sector was the biggest growing sector in Ethiopia. It's now, I think it's about, 40+% in the economy. So if we start losing that sector of the economy, it's going to be reflecting on the GDP growth. And then also, there's going to be quite a lot of hardship. Our economy is also built on debt sort of thing, So a lot of hotels have been built, a lot of infrastructure. I mean, the banks was the regulation was very stringent, and then they were not fully exposed, heavily to industry. But I think the maximum they could have borrowed is about 25% of their, so that means, the banking sector, there could be a domino effect if the hotels, the big buildings, cannot be able to afford to pay their debt. And then that will continue to affect the financial sector. So it's going to be things. It's going to be tough.
Especially related to where the coronavirus outbreak is from China, where Africa is much related with China. This have an impact all over the world.
Yes, I mean, the China is going to shrink. The global economy is going to shrink. So we've been, debt is one of the things that's going to be suffered in a lot of countries, may not now afford. Aid is going to be difficult. And then also trading with China and the rest of the world. I mean, the demand for oil and all other things, the commodity products is going to be very low. Whether it's coffee, cotton, and sort of, I mean, now it's a shutdown. Our economy is dependent on coffee. So if Starbucks and everybody is closing down, then that means there is a significant reduction. I mean, even if we want to sell the product now, it's not easy to export it, because it's total shutdown. I mean, you can see the economy in 12 months. We have to produce, what's the GDP is the goods and service we produce, over the year. So if we shut down for 1 year, 1/12 of our GDP has gone, If we close, like 10%, 8% of the GDP will be going down. So if we have the economic disruption for 2 months, that means it's double person. So if we're planning that to grow, 10%, maybe that will go, cut by half. So that's the biggest challenge, yeah.
If there is any way where the government or any other entities and organization like WHO, UN, AU can do to minimize these problems for Africa?
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. I mean, if you've seen the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed letter, I mean, this is an issue, it's a global issue, so we need a global solution. I mean, you can say, we can quarantine America and then, remove all the virus and then. But at the end of the day, if there is 1 or 2% in Africa who is still carrying the virus, is going to start the epidemic again. So it's a global issue. So that's the positive things. But I don't know how the global economy could sustain, because now the Americans have injected $2 trillion into the economy. I don't know whether that money is going to come, eventually. Every every business, Americans now, they are just want to issue $1,000 per person, for staying at home, that kind of thing. So is going to be coming from all, the pool of resource we have globally. So if these countries are not, healthy in terms of economic, management, they're not going to probably help Africa. But in terms of the health side, they have no choice. They have to help, Africa. Because at the end of the day, it starts 1-2% from China. It's now become a global issue. Definitely. So that's the biggest challenge.
So for every problem, there should be some solutions at some point.
There is a solution. You can see it as an opportunity as well. You can see it as an opportunity to transform the economy. Now a lot of things, even in America, everywhere, they go into digitalization. We are far behind. We could have now have a better economy if we were be able to have online payment system, delivery system, and all this kind of thing. The economy could have sustained, better. In UK and everywhere in Europe now, some of the companies are making huge money, like Amazon and all the other delivery companies. So that kind of thing, if we can use this one as an opportunity to transfer the economy, then that's a new sector to grow, a new GDP stream to come, online. So those are the issues we live. And for a country like Ethiopia, I think the biggest danger is an institution like Ethiopian Airlines. That's the biggest asset we have in this country, and it's not like an American airlines. So somebody's going to write them a check, too big to fail. I think they're contributing about 3% of our economy. That's a big, 60 billion or $2 billion worth of service they contributing to economy. We sell coffee, probably 2.5 to $3 billion export. So you can see, the agricultural sector, of course, employ 80% of the labor force, and 60% of probably the export, what we export. But the contribution is really small. So the service sector was, growing very fast, and then also contributing to the economy. So we have to be very careful how to protect those industries.
Thank you so much for making the time and come to the studio explaining your expertise. And I hope we can meet again. All these outbreaks are gone and have another explanation.
Wonderful. So yeah, it's a big opportunity for Africans to look at it differently now at the moment. And then, we have a challenge, but there's always a solution for it. So it's a pleasure to be on Art Television, and then hopefully we'll meet again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.